Okay, good morning, everybody, and Chazak. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Monday morning, and Shavua Tov. Welcome, everyone, to a new week as we are studying together a new parasha. Actually, two parashiot this week. We have a double header, Parashat Matot and Parashat Mas'ei. And actually, my friends, today's class, I would like to jump all the way to the end of the first parasha, the end of Parashat Matot. So if you have a Chumash, please open up to chapter 32. Chapter 32 tells us a very interesting story, okay? We still have some stories left in the Torah to teach us amazing, important lessons. So here we go, my friends. Parashat Matot, chapter 32. Today's class is sponsored anonymously for the Refuah Shlema of all of Am Yisrael. Amen. Okay, the parasha tells us that, let's read and explain. Umiknei Rav haya lebnei Reuven v'lebnei Gad atzum me'od. The parasha tells us that the Jewish people are right now in the Transjordan. They're on the east side of the Jordan River. Probably what's known today as Jordan, and they had a lot of cattle, okay? A lot of ox and sheep, a lot of cattle. So the two tribes of Reuven and Gad, they had a lot of cattle. Vayir'u et Eretz Yazer, and they noticed that where they are, the place of Yazer, this Transjordan, and Gilad, Makom Mikneh, that it's very suitable for cattle. It's a lot of greenery, a lot of places to pasture their cattle. So they come to the two tribes of Gad and Reuven come, and Rabbeinu Bachir points out, by the way, that actually out of these two, whose idea was it? We're about to read. Whose idea was it, Reuven or Gad? It was the idea of Gad, okay? Because they were stronger and they weren't afraid. Look what they proposed. Come. They come to Moshe. Vayomru, and they say to him and Elazar and all the people, Atarot v'divon v'yazer v'nimra v'heshbon v'ale ushma ubno uvon. They start listing all the cities where they live, where they are right now, before they enter the land of Israel. They say all of these cities. Ha'aretz asher hika Hashem lefnei adat Yisrael, the place that we just conquered from all these mighty kings. Eretz miknehi, it's a place that's fantastic for cattle. Okay, and we have cattle. Vayomru, and therefore they say, if you would agree to this, we would rather please stay here. Al ta'avirenu et hayarden. We don't want to cross the Jordan into the land of Israel. Unbelievable. Okay, so here are two tribes, two out of 12. Okay, two tribes. They come to Moshe, they come to Elazar, they come to the people, and they have the following request: do you mind? Is it okay if we could just maybe stay here? We don't need the land of Israel. Thanks, but no thanks. Yomer Moshe levnei Gad, now if you're Moshe, what would you say? What would you say to this request? Yes or no? And why? They have money, they have cattle. This is a good place for cattle. It's good for business. Could we stay? Now Moshe, I think, makes a lot of sense. Look what he says. Vayomer Moshe. Moshe responds, you guys want your brothers to go out and fight alone, and you'll settle here with your families? Now that your land is conquered, now that all is well for you, now that everything is here is okay for you guys, that's gonna now that's fine. You have your house, you have your city settled, you have your enemies gone. What about the land of Israel? What about all your brothers that want to go in there? Their land is not conquered yet. You want them to fight alone? Is that fair? They helped you guys fight here. You guys shouldn't go and help them fight there. Why will you live in Israel, the hearts of the Jewish people? Me'avor el haaretz. Why are you guys going to try to now dissuade everybody from going into the land of Israel? And already Moshe starts ringing a bell. You're not the first to do this, to not want to go into Israel. This is deja vu. When else did this happen? Moshe Rabbeinu says, Ko asu avotechem, this is what your fathers did. When I sent them from Kadesh to go spy the land, and they came to Nahal Eshkol and they saw it, and they came back and they turned everyone's hearts from not wanting to go, and we were punished for 40 years to stay in the desert. And I'm not going to make the same mistake again. And God was very angry with those fathers of yours. God was very angry on that day when the spies came back. And by the way, that day was what? We know, Tisha B'Av, very good. Vayiharaf Hashem, and God was so angry, and he swore that not one of these people that's from 20 and up will dare go into that land of Israel. And that's why we were stuck here for the next 40 years, so that the entire generation can die out. And finally, the 40 years is up. The life sentence is over. We're able to go now back into the land of Israel. You guys want to make the same mistake? The only two guys that are going to go in are Yehoshua and Caleb. And God made us wander around for 40 years till they all died out. And now you guys, you guys are getting up in your father's place, and you're replacing them, and you breed of sinful fellows. Tarbut anashim hataim. Shame on you guys. And because of you, we're going to end up staying here for another 40. This is Moshe's response. Okay? Wow. Very aggressive, very clear. Now, makes sense. Makes sense. You know, this was the mistake. Have you not learned anything? If there's anything that you learned over the last 40 years, what's the number one lesson that you drill into your heads? When every year you saw thousands of people dying, till 600,000 men died out. Is there any one lesson you learned? The answer is, love Israel. Go into Israel. Don't put fear into the people about the land of Israel. That's the lesson. Now you guys are making that only one mistake that you should not be making. Yeah. Well, what do you say back? If you're Reuven and Gad, yeah, you want the land. You really want the land. Well, I think Moshe is very clear. If I'm Reuven and Gad, I apologize. Moshe, I'm sorry. I didn't see it like that. But you're 100% right. Just kidding. Of course we're going to go into the land. It's not what we meant. We were just testing you. If we're here, that's what I would say. But take a look. We actually look at their response, and you'll see what their original intention was. Vayikshu ela vayomru. They actually step up and say, Gidros son meknenu po ve'arim natapenu. Say, no, Moshe, don't make no mistake. We're going to build sheepfolds for our flocks, towns for our children. Ve'anachnu nehaletz hushim lifnei bnei Israel. And we, after we set up shop over here, we're going to march first in line towards the land of Israel. Of course we're going to come in and help you guys fight. You think we want to come stay out here? You think we were just going to leave you guys on your own? No way, you misunderstood, Moshe. 100%, we're here to fight. We're here to help. We're a team. We're not afraid. We'll actually march first. Nahnu nehaletz chushim. Lo nashuv betenu. Not only that, Moshe, we will not return back here to the Transjordan till every one of your people, till every one of the rest of the 10 tribes receive their inheritance, until they possess a portion in the land of Israel. Moshe, we're not here to just jump ship. No way. We're staying till the end. We're going in. We're helping you fight. When you're done fighting, when we conquer Israel, we're going to come back to our families. How's that for a deal? Moshe says, well, if that's the case, why don't you just say so? I misunderstood. Moshe says, if you will go and fight with them, and you'll help us conquer, then great. Then you can return. You can return here, and all is well. Beautiful. And Moshe repeats the deal. He tells it to Elazar and to everybody. This is the deal that I made with them. And they go in and they help us conquer. And then they can come back. And and they respond. They said everything that you said, Na'aseh, we will do. And they basically close the deal. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, interesting story of how we find, and by the way, it's what ends up happening. Historically, we know that the two tribes, Reuven and Gad, and there ended up being, by the way, half a tribe of Menashe that ended up wanting to tack on. Those 2.5 tribes stayed on the east side of the Jordan River, and then they kept their families, their wives there, their children there, and they marched ahead with the rest of the Jews. The men went alone. They fought with all the other 9.5 tribes to conquer the land of Israel, and only after 14 years with Yehoshua ben Nun, till they conquered and divided the land, then only then did they come back to their property in the Transjordan. So they kept true to their word. But the only question really is a very interesting question, and that is, there seems to be obviously over here a misunderstanding. Moshe assumed that they wanted to stay on the east side of the Jordan right now from here till the end, that they weren't going to come and help their brothers fight. Immediately after he's done rebuking them, for how many psukim, by the way? Moshe is yelling at them for 10 long psukim. 10 psukim from Moshe getting heat, not an easy thing. And after 10 verses, they finally say, Moshe, sorry, you misunderstood. Let us explain what we intended. And then they explain that they did intend to go in and to fight. And so Moshe, when he hears that, he says, oh, okay. If that's the case, then you have yourself a deal. And so the question, very simple question is, why didn't the two tribes of Reuven and Gad, after the first pasuk, they see that there's a misunderstanding? Why didn't they quickly stop and interrupt Moshe and say, Moshe, time out. I think we weren't clear. Let us explain before you go on and you're going to rebuke us on the wrong idea. It's not what we meant. Let us re-explain what we really intend to do. They should have just done that right after the first pasuk. The second Moshe says, oh, hello, guys, you want your brothers to go in and fight alone? Well, no, Moshe, time out. Before you say anything, sorry, we weren't clear. No way, that's not what we want. We want to go and fight. They should have chimed in. They should have came in and interrupted Moshe. We find that they sat there taking heat from Moshe for 10 psukim, all on a misunderstanding. And only after Moshe had done rebuking them, he said they re-explained what they meant. Ever happened to you that you were maybe having a discussion with somebody and all of a sudden the person assumes the wrong thing about what you did and they start rebuking you? And then in the middle, you realize that they got the wrong idea. What do? What's the most sensible thing to do? Well, one second, sorry, let me just stop you there. Okay, let me just stop you right there. Let me explain the situation because I see that you clearly have the wrong idea. It's a very sensible thing to do. And yet we don't find no form of such interruption by the two tribes to Moshe. The question is, why? And over here, Rabbi Farhi has a most beautiful answer with a story. And the story is a true story. It's not a mashal. It's a true story that took place 100 years ago, 150 years ago, with the famous rabbi known as the Sfat Emet. The Sfat Emet was raised by his grandfather, who was known as the Hidushei Harim. They were of the first Hasidim of the Ger Hasidic dynasty. I don't know if you're familiar with Hasidut. There's different sects of Hasidim, just like Sephardim. There's Syrians, there's Persian, there's Moroccan, there's Temani, there's Lebanese, there's Tunisian. I don't know. There's different types of Sephardim. There's different types of Hasidim. There's Satmar, there's Ger, there's Chabad, right? Different groups, different sects of Hasidim. So one very, very big Hasidic dynasty is the Ger dynasty. Okay, and it was at the top is the Alter of Ger. The head of Ger is Yitzchak Meir, who's also known as the Chidushei Harim. Okay, that's the title of his work, the Chidushei Harim, the works of Rav Yitzchak Meir. Rim, Rav Yitzchak Meir. Okay, so he called his book Chidushei, the novelties of Rim, Rav Yitzchak Meir. Okay, that was his name. That was what people call him, Chidushei Harim. His grandson, okay, was known also after his book, very important 5-volume book on the 5 books of the Torah, the Sfat Emet. Okay, Sfat Emet. And actually, the Chidushei Harim raised his grandson. He raised his grandson, unfortunately, because he was left an orphan. And his grandson, from a very young age, showed a lot of promise, showed a lot of diligence, was a very serious Torah learner. And the story goes as follows. It happened on one night, middle of the night, this grandson, the Sfat Emet, was sitting there with his chavruta, with his study partner. And he was learning all night long. They got carried away. They went late into the night. They finally looked at their watches. They realized it was very late. They have to wake up early for shul tomorrow. So they closed the Gemaras. They went to bed. But because he went to sleep extra late that night, he woke up a tad later than he should have. So he walked into shul in the middle of the prayers. And, the Chidushei Harim, he sees his grandson walking into shul late. So afterwards, after prayers, the Ger Rebbe, the Chidushei Harim, he approaches his grandson. He starts rebuking him for sleeping in. He says, waking up in the morning is such an important part of how we start our day. You cannot wake up late. You have to jump out of bed. Yitgaber ka'ari. Starting your day the right way. You can't give in to laziness. Yetzer hara is going to try to keep you in bed. You cannot give in to that. And he starts rebuking and rebuking and rebuking his grandson of how important it is to go to sleep on time so that he could wake up on time. And the grandson, if I was the grandson, I would quickly interrupt and say, Grandpa, sorry, you got the wrong story. Let me explain. Last night, I had a crazy situation. You see a guy walking into shul late. I don't know if it ever happened. You see a guy walking into shul late. Everyone's looking at him. Hey, why are you late? What's going on? And then the guy has a real excuse. I had a hatzalah call. My son was in the hospital last night. Something, a real excuse of why he's here late. He makes sure to tell everybody. He gets up in the back, he announces, oh, I was up last night, I had a crazy situation, right? You want everyone to know so that they don't judge you falsely, so they don't accuse you of the wrong things. Yeah? So over here, the grandson, he has a real excuse, a legitimate excuse. So after the grandpa is done rebuking him and he leaves, the chavruta, the study partner of the grandson, he comes to his friend, he says, I don't understand, why didn't you tell your grandpa what happened last night? Why did you not tell him that you were up all night studying? Just excuse yourself. And the grandson, the Sfat Emet, look what he answered. He said, to hear criticism from my holy grandfather is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There is no way that I'm going to forfeit that privilege by justifying my behavior. Excuses, we all have. Justifications, we all have. But says the Sfat Emet, and he was a young boy when he understood this truth, this valuable lesson, that to hear criticism in life is one of the most important, valuable opportunities. My grandfather's rebuking me. That's a beautiful opportunity. Why would I give that up just because I have an excuse? That's still important criticism. Whatever words he has to tell me, whatever rebuke he wants to say, whatever he's going to come out of his mouth about how important it is to wake up, I'm going to need that. Maybe not today, maybe in a month, maybe in a year, one day in my life, that I'm going to be lazy in my bed. I want to have those beautiful words, those pearls ringing from my grandfather. And to prove this idea, he says, that's why Reuven and Gad, the two tribes, they didn't interrupt Moshe. This is very valuable criticism. Moshe rebuking them. Maybe this case, it was incorrect. Maybe it was uncalled for criticism, but it was important criticism nonetheless. And therefore, they didn't want to interrupt. Why rob ourselves of this beautiful and precious opportunity of receiving fine criticism from Moshe Rabbeinu? What these great people understood, what Reuven and Gad understood, what the Sfat Emet understood, is that in life, although we don't like to hear criticism, let's face it, it's hard to hear that we're not perfect. It's hard to hear that we make mistakes. Yeah? Think about the last time someone told you off. Maybe it was this morning. Maybe it was from your spouse. Maybe it was from a partner. Maybe it was your boss. Maybe it was somebody in shul. They told you that you're doing something wrong. Maybe something religiously. Maybe something as far as how you're acting as a father or a mother, or how you're acting as a friend, or how you're acting as a spouse. And they're giving us criticism. It's hard to hear that criticism. Criticism is not an easy thing to hear. I won't say no. It's hard to hear the truth. Why? Why is it hard to hear criticism? It's hard to hear it because A, it's a knock at my ego. I thought till now I was perfect. Now you're telling me I'm not perfect. To hear criticism requires humility. It requires me to be humble and to know I'm not perfect. But it also sometimes can be traumatic when I hear criticism because it's telling me that I'm worthless. Sometimes when we don't feel big about ourselves, when we don't feel important about ourselves, and someone then comes and starts telling us how we're not good, it only reaffirms and confirms what we believe, the lack of perfection that we know ourselves that we are. It's hard to sometimes hear the truth about ourselves. We feel insecure, we feel like we're not good. And then a person comes and criticizes us. It's hard to hear that. It's hard to hear criticism. But the truth is, my friends, the only way we grow in life is through rebuke. The only way we could really grow is when people tell us where we need improvement. We all have blind spots. We're all biased. We're all prejudiced. We're all subjective. We all like to think that we are great in whatever areas of life we care about. And when someone comes and tells us that we're not great, although it's a strike at our ego, although it hurts, although it stings, but ultimately, that's how we grow. We grow when we're uncomfortable. We grow when we hear where we need improvement, where growth is needed. Matter of fact, David HaMelech says, and we say this in the Psalm every Shabbat, Bakamim alai mere'im. David would say, when my enemies would get up and start opening their mouths and telling me of where I flaw, Tishma na'oznai. David would say, I would open my ears, I would embrace, I would welcome all of the criticism from the people around me, although they were my enemies and their goal was to put me down. So what? It's true what they're saying or not? Maybe I am a little bit stubborn. Maybe I am spending too much time on my phone, or maybe I am drinking too much or gambling too much, or maybe I'm spending too much time in the office, or whatever it is that I'm doing. Could it be that they're right? Could it be a little bit that there's a point that I'm talking in shul and I shouldn't be talking in shul? Or that I'm not supposed to be praying alone, I should be going to pray with a minyan? Or that I could be maybe dressed a little bit more refined, or I could be acting a little bit better, or I could be maybe a little bit more in how I talk, right? Is there maybe some truth to what this person is telling me? How I'm in my sales. I'm not giving enough energy. The other day somebody came. They told me about one of my speeches. You could have done this better. You could have done that better, and it hurts, especially when you put so much time into developing yourself as a speaker, and you think that you're so good because you put so much time in, and then someone else comes and says that, by the way, you're still making mistakes. You're still not so good. It hurts, but that's how we grow. If a little kid from day one keeps telling everyone, right? Imagine you have a kid who's in softball league and he's swinging the bat incorrectly, and you tell him, hey, son, get over here, pick your shoulder up, you gotta bend your knees a little bit, you're swinging too high, you're swinging too much on an angle, and they say, no, I'm good. How's the kid gonna ever grow? I'm good? We don't grow by saying we're good. We grow by hearing criticism. It hurts to hear criticism, but that's the only way we could really grow. David HaMelech knew this truth. Bakamim alai mere'im, tishma na'oznai. And therefore, whenever enemies would get up, David HaMelech would say, I would listen. I would listen good to what they had to say. Because this is how I become better as a person. This is how I become better in work. This is how I become better and develop my speaking skills. This is how I become better as a father, better as a spouse, better as anything. And this is what we are here, this is what God gave us, people around us for. When our rabbis tell us, Aseh lecha rav, ukne lecha chaver, get for yourself a rabbi, get for yourself a chaver. What's the job of a rabbi? What's a job of a chaver? If a person only likes to go to the class that makes him feel good, if a person only likes to go to a friend that's complimenting them, that is very immature way of living. A person needs to know that sometimes I have to hear that class that's going to be a slap in the face, that I don't want to hear. It's uncomfortable to hear from the rabbi that I should start keeping Shabbat better, or I should start dressing better, or I should start keeping different laws of kosher, or I should start adjusting how I talk, or my business, right? Some people, they like to go, I love this class, I love this rabbi, why? Every class is flowery, everything makes me feel good, and I'm not saying no, it's very important, especially today's day and age where we're soft. We need that. But if I'm only looking to hear where I'm good, I'm not looking to also hear where I need improvement, I'm not also listening for the criticism, then I will never grow as a human being. I need somebody there to tell me. I need the Aseh lecha rav. I need that rabbi, that mentor, that therapist, that chaver, that friend that could sit me down and slap me in the face and say, stop it already. You're drinking too much. Stop it already. You're acting like a fool. Stop it already. You're blowing up all your savings on stupid gambling. Delete the app. Get rid of it. It's not for you. You can't handle it. You don't know proportion. You don't know how to be in moderation. We need that Rav. We need that Chaver. A good friend will compliment you, but a better friend will rebuke you. Never forget that, my friends. And our rabbis tell us that when you're walking with your rabbi, there's a very interesting halacha. When you're walking with your rabbi, which side of the rabbi should you be on? Interesting. I don't know if you ever thought about this question. But when you're walking with your rabbi, there's a side that you should be on. You should be on your rabbi's left. Very good. Good, Jackie. Be on the rabbi's left. Why? So, okay, simply, it's the side to be on. But on a deeper level, we know that the right, in Kabbalistic terms, in the sfirot, in the traits, in character, in emotions. The right side represents the emotion of kindness. Left side represents the trait of discipline, of tough, of correction. Right, chesed. Left, criticism. Right, kindness. Left, deen. And so the Gemara says, when you're walking with your rabbi, you got to walk on your rabbi's left. A person who's always looking to walk on his rabbi's right side, Gemara says, Ama aretz, you're a fool. If you're only looking to hear from your rabbi right, criticism, you always want to hear where you're good, where you're shining. It's nice to hear it. It's nice to hear it. But are you going to grow like that? Where you only hear where you're good? Now again, there's a whole class that needs to be given and that we've given in the past dozens of times on how to give criticism. 100%. I'm not talking about that today. How we give it is equally important. But today I'm talking about from the recipient side, the receiver end of the deal. If you're the one receiving criticism, of course, when you're giving it, it has to be done and given the right way, and that's the most difficult art to master. But I'm talking today about receiving criticism. If we're ever receiving criticism, if we're only looking to be told where we excel, if we only want to hear how we're amazing, then we'll never grow. We need to hear the left. The guy's got to walk on his rabbi's left side. To hear where we need improvement, even if 99% is mistaken. 99% is wrong. But there's one tiny piece here that could be true, that it could help me, it could benefit me. When a person's sifting in the sand, they sift for hours and hours, and how many precious things do they find? 9 out of 10, 99.999% is all waste. Plastic, nothing valuable. But one time they strike a tiny piece of metal, they strike gold, it's worth it. It's worth going through 99 grains of sand to find one tiny grain of metal. So even if all the criticism is unwarranted, even if they're mistaken, even if they don't understand, but there's something here that I could hear. There's something there's a maturity that's required to be able to know that I'm not perfect and I could use improvement. And any criticism and all criticism is welcome. It hurts. It hurts. But when someone criticizes me, I need to be able to close my eyes and say, this doesn't say anything about who I am. This doesn't make me less valuable. But this is something that I can use. This is something that can help me. This is something that is very precious that I can use to grow in life. I dare not give it up. I dare not throw it away because of a little ego, because of a little bit knock at my sense of self. Here, what is this person trying to tell me? God, when He created a wife for man, the words in the pasuk, Eselo ezer kenegdo. I'm going to make for him an ezer, a helper, a ezer, helper. But what's the next word? Kenegdo. Kenegdo, opposite him. Opposite him. A wife's job is not always to be there to support her husband, to tell him that he's amazing, and she should. But also sometimes, ezer kenegdo, to be opposite, to hit him on the head, doing this wrong, got to improve, got to stop, got to start. This is not how you're supposed to talk. Too much. To hear it, to know maybe there's something here to it. Maybe I need to find truth in this criticism. In this criticism, I can't let it get to my head. You know, there's a beautiful Mishnah. Mishnah says, "Yehi kevod chavercha haviv alecha keshelach." You should let your friend's honor be as dear to you as your own. Okay? Now, on a simple level, it's a beautiful Mishnah, which means that I should treat my friend with the same honor that I would treat myself. The same way when it comes to me, I care about my honor. I would care if somebody insulted me. I would care if somebody told me the wrong thing. I would care about if somebody were to hurt my honor. So your friend's honor should be no less. When you see someone else doing the wrong thing, how would you want to be treated? You should treat them that way. How would you want to be told? That's how you should tell them. Yeah? That's a simple level of what the Mishnah is saying. But the Mishnah really, if you think about it, it's not so true. Because I know that my own honor I should forego. So am I supposed to now also forego my friend's honor? If you're telling me that I'm supposed to equate my honor with my friend's honor, so maybe my honor is worthless. I'm not supposed to have honor. So should I also not honor my friends? By the way, that was a mistake of Rabbi Akiva's students. They said, If I'm not supposed to receive honor, then I'm not going to give it. And therefore, I think there's maybe a slightly deeper way of understanding the Mishnah. Take a look at this, my friends. Yihi kevod chavercha, your friend's kavod should be as dear to you as your own. And what that means is as follows. Ever happened to you that somebody gave you kavod? Someone gave you honor. Someone gave you a compliment. How do you feel about that? Feels nice, right? Feels nice to hear a compliment. Imagine though, one time, guy finishes doing something that he feels like was good accomplishment. He prepared, he went up, he threw a party, he spoke, he did something. And when they're done, goes home, and you see this guy in his own house, he starts telling himself, Ariel, wow, you killed it today. What a sick speech. And the way you said that part, you gave it to them. And I love how you connected it and you tied it. Imagine you see a guy complimenting himself, right? Say, Azit, okay? Nebach, what's this guy doing? He's in the wrong, what are you talking to the mirror? What are you talking over here? Right? It's foolish. Nobody would ever think that if they compliment themselves, they would get a ego trip, right? Nobody gets an ego trip from their own compliment. So says the Mishnah, Yihi kevod chavercha, chaviv alecha keshelach. So too, just like when you honor yourself, there's no real honor there, you don't feel good about it. So too, when somebody else honors you, when somebody else compliments you, take it with a grain of salt. Don't let it get to your head. What the Mishnah is saying is that we shouldn't allow compliments from people, other people, to make us. They shouldn't allow us to make our heads bigger. And my friends, what's true of compliments is equally true of criticism. Okay? Compliments don't make us, and criticism doesn't destroy us. Listen to what Winston Churchill once said. He said that criticism may not be agreeable, but it is necessary. It fulfills the same function as pain in the human body. It calls attention to an unhealthy state of things. Pain, if you're hurting, your hand's hurting you. Something's hurting. You got to go to the doctor. You got to check it out. Why? I don't like it. It's unhealthy. It's uncomfortable. The pain showing you that there's something here. Yeah, you take an Advil, you alleviate the pain. God forbid, the problem is still there. The problem grows and grows and grows. We have to realize that pain is God's way of telling us that there's an issue here under that you can't see. When we feel pain, we should be grateful. That's how one needs to have. That's the attitude that one needs to have to pain. It's a very powerful way of thinking about pain. The same way hunger tells me that my body needs nutrition. So, right? Or the guy's on Ozempic, but either one, right? The pain is the guy's way of saying there's something wrong over here. There's something unhealthy. So too, when a person is criticized, it may be painful, may hurt, but there's something here unhealthy. And if I have a solid core, I'm strong, and if I know that I'm valuable, then I can listen gracefully to criticism. So criticism is like rain. What does rain do? Rain, if it's too hard, it destroys the plants. It should be gentle enough to nourish a person's soul. It should be like rain. It should be gentle. It shouldn't be too hard, but it needs to be there. There has to be rain for the flowers to grow. Criticism, we need criticism. But if we don't have firm roots, then criticism will kill us. Okay? If we're not strong in who we are, in what we believe, and who we believe ourselves to be, then any criticism that we ever hear will only be a knock at ourselves, at our ego, at our sense of anything that's worthwhile. So part of growing in life is to know where I need to improve, and to know that I need to improve. And there's no one that's ever perfect in any area of life. And so long that we could attain that humility of knowing that I'm not perfect and I could improve. And again, whatever this person's telling me does not mean anything about me. It doesn't say anything about who I am. Quite the contrary. When a person hears criticism and they shut their mouth and they bow their head and they walk away with that slight sense of shame that they need to improve, that says a lot about them. Don't defend yourself. Next time someone criticizes you, try this, okay? Probably the hardest thing that you'll ever have to do in your life. But the next time someone criticizes you, they start telling you that you're doing something wrong, okay? Don't open your mouth. Don't defend yourself. Don't even say, you know what, I'm going to say something, but the rabbi today said I shouldn't say something, so I'm not going to say something. Don't say any of that, okay? Next time someone says something to you, just zip it and take it in. Hear it, percolate, let it sit, munch on it. Maybe there's something here. Sift through it. Maybe out of the 1,000 words that they told you, 999 were not warranted, uncalled for, inaccurate, they're wrong. Maybe 999 words that they told you, they shouldn't have said. All of it was unnecessary. The extra words, the extra name calling, unnecessary. But is there one word here that I could hear, and maybe it does talk to me, and maybe it is true? Maybe there's a part of me that is a little bit lazy. I think maybe they exaggerated 999 words. But one word, maybe the tiny lazy, yes, I can. Maybe they're right a little bit. Maybe a little bit I should start being a little bit more sensitive in how I talk. Maybe I could be a little bit more minding my own business. Maybe I could, right? There's a tiny one word of truth in this whole essay that they gave me. Take the word. That's valuable. Don't throw it away. Bnei Gad and Reuven. My friends, Bnei Gad and Reuven, they knew. Moshe Rabbeinu, maybe it's whole misunderstanding. But this is valuable criticism. To hear Musar from Moshe Rabbeinu, why would we rob and deprive ourselves of that amazing opportunity? And I'll end with this. In Mishlei it says, Al tochach letz pen isnaeka. Don't rebuke a letz. Don't rebuke a letz. Hocheach lechacham yahaveka. But a chacham, when you rebuke a chacham, he'll love you. But real chacham, a real scholar, someone that has intelligence, someone that's wise knows that when there's criticism, it may sting. It stings. I say no. It stings. And our initial instinct is to respond and defend. But a chacham, when all is said and done, will be able to look back and say, you know what? It hurts, but that was good. I needed the guy to tell me that. Put your phone away in shul. You shouldn't be having it out. He's wrong. It happened to be that it was a very important text that I was texting my wife in that moment. It happens to be I wasn't looking at my stocks. It happens to be that I wasn't doing the wrong thing on my phone. It was a very important text. And the guy was, in that case, he was wrong. But he was very right. I shouldn't have my phone out in shul. I could hear that. And it hurts. Because in this case, the guy's wrong. Doesn't matter. There's truth here. A chacham hears. A chacham understands. There's something of here valuable. Let me open my ears. Let me shut my mouth. Let me take what this guy's saying with a grain of salt. But let me take it. Maybe there's something here that I could use, that I could grow as a human being. Because I'm not perfect. I have a lot more that I need to grow. There's a long way between me and perfection. Every word of criticism is a little bit, helping me to achieve the greatness. Bnei Gad, Reuven, they were chachamim. They were very wise. Moshe criticizes them incorrectly, but they shut their mouth. They took it. Thank you. The guy gives you money. The guy comes to the street and says, here, $100. Do you say, oh, you sure? Maybe you want to give it to someone else. I don't know if you owe me. I'll take it. $100. Lama lo. Why not? When a person gives you criticism, take it. Why not? I appreciate it. I know maybe you were a little bit too loud. Maybe you could have done it privately. Maybe you don't have to do it when I'm in the middle of doing something else. Maybe you don't. Maybe this, maybe that. Billion maybes. It's true. But thank you. I'll take it. This helps me. This improves me. Why do I want to improve? A foolish person, thinks they're perfect. They don't want to improve. But a real chacham understands there's still improvement. There's still work to be done. I could improve. Let me hear what you have to say. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. To think, David HaMelech, the criticizers, he would open his ears. And this is our lesson from today, from our parasha, to be chachamim, to be wise, to hear other people are giving us that those words of rebuke may be uncomfortable. That's how we grow. Okay, we'll stop over here, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.